Hello, my fellow non-billionaires. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Scoundrels, where we talk about all of the terrifying things private equity is doing. They're in everything from your local newspaper, if that still exists, to your local hospital. And today we're going to talk about what they're doing in elder care. This Sunday Scoundrels is in the Windy City, and we are going to make some new friends by the name of Jaybird Capital. And Jaybird has been displacing seniors from their assisted living communities, to sum it up perfectly. And I will say, many private equity stories hit hard, but this one is particularly heartbreaking. And my heart was broken when I saw the news piece that I'm about to show you. And the second that I saw it, I was like, it has to be private equity. So let's go. First and foremost, this is River Glen of St. Charles. It is a assisted living community. It has memory care. It also has independent living for seniors. And it's about 35 miles from Chicago. And it's owned by Jaybird Senior Living. So to really set the scene, I want you to watch this clip. It's from Channel 2 News in Chicago. It explains senior community residents have to leave after 300% increase in costs.
That maintenance fee rose above $1,300.
We thought that was outrageous. Little did we know what was coming.
Try $6,150 a month, a more than 300% increase from new property owner Jaybird Senior Living.
Everyone in my family spoke to said the same thing. Oh, they can't do that.
Many of the now former residents say they consulted with lawyers, and those attorneys told them what the management company is doing is allowed by law.
Rental amounts are based off fair market rates, Jaybird told us in a statement.
This woman, Susan French, is being displaced from a community that she loved being a part of. She loved living in because of a 300% increase. It's heartbreaking. But when you watch it, it's all the earmarks of private equity, right? So let's double click here, okay? Jaybird Senior Living. So we know that from that piece that the property was sold recently to Jaybird Senior Living, but it's actually so much more complex than that. This is why the fine print is so important. So this is a little quick summary article, I guess you'd call it, from Senior Business. I had to write down Senior Housing Business. And it explains that Bridge Investment Group sold River Glen of St. Charles, the community, to Citrine Senior Communities, right? Nothing about Jaybird there. What is Citrine Senior Communities? Well, it's a joint venture between Citrine Investment Group and Jaybird Capital, and that Jaybird Senior Living will take over the operation. So let's just back up a minute. Who are Citrine Investment Group and Jaybird Capital? Because they're really the ones behind this. Well, surprise, surprise. Guess what Citrine Investment Group is? A real estate private equity firm run by this woman, Lynn Jareth. She used to be with the Carlyle Group. Y'all remember the Carlyle Group from the other day? We showed you how Carlyle Group had decreased the levels of safety significantly in nursing homes. Yeah, that Carlyle Group. She must have learned a thing or two there. And there's one party that's yeah, I guess it's great. You're one of the only woman-run private equity firms in the country. But congratulations, you're displacing everyone's nana. Oh, and while we're here, Lynn, on your main homepage, the focus areas box, which, I'd love to know what your focus areas are. This link is actually dead. I was able to get it another way, but that's what I get when I go to focus areas. Anyway, let's look at Jaybird Capital. And as for Jaybird Capital, it might as well be Vandelay Industries, okay? They say it's a family-owned investment house. I can't really figure out if it is private equity, but you can't, it's like an investor website. There's nothing there. You can log in if you have an investment thing, but there's nothing there. Did I go through the privacy policy? You bet your ass I did. But basically we figured it out here. Private equity took over Susan French's assisted living facility, right? And is driving it into the ground. And this is not a new thing. So I want to show you this. So this study from the National Bureau of Economic Research is fascinating to me. So they asked to have a group look at private equity funds and their effects on quality of life in nursing homes that they acquire. And guess what they found? Purchases of nursing homes by private equity firms are associated with higher patient mortality rates, fewer caregivers, higher management fees, which is one of the things that's happening in Chicago, and a decline in patient mobility. And what's fascinating here is people will write in sometimes and they'll be like, well, this has always been going on. No, the rate at which this is happening it's increasing. So look right here. In 2005, private equity firms owned less than 1% of skilled nursing facilities. By 2015, they owned 9%. Recently, I heard Gretchen Morgenson say on NPR that they own, at the very least, 11%. Now, it's very strategic that they have Jaybird Senior Housing being sort of the face of all of this, right? They're doing the day-to-day operations, and it makes it really hard to sort of trace it back and say, oh my God, but it's actually private equity. And that's exactly how private equity operates, right? Like we've talked about this before, but it bears repeating. They want to go under the radar. They want Jaybird Senior Housing to be like the person that gets name dropped on the news, not whatever, Citrus Management or whatever the hell this is, Citrine Investment. And like you hear that and you're like, oh, that can't be so bad. Oh yeah, it's bad. I want to close with this article from the CEO of Jaybird Senior Living, a gentleman by the name of Kevin M. Russell, because it was, to me, it's one of the most eye-opening things within all of this. Basically, it details how Jaybird Senior Living is like tripling in size. They have 75 communities in the Midwest. And CEO Kevin Russell sees a real opportunity in the middle market. And I would actually like encourage you to go read this article, and I'll link it in the comments, although things don't link well on TikTok. But like you could just tell that this guy doesn't give a crap that he's talking about real human lives. He's like, oh, I'm going to buy a building in Florida. I don't think so. Maybe a portfolio of 10 buildings in Florida. Well, that might be interesting. This is like every single villain you could think of who wants to displace the grandmother, like in, I don't know, Happy Gilmore. Isn't that like the whole basis of the movie? So Kevin Russell was working overseas for a while. He comes back. He invests in 2 senior living communities in Minnesota. And not long after, he invested in 20 additional communities and acquired Jaybird Senior Living. And the article talks about it right here. They talk about the fact that there is going to be a challenge for the future because senior living margins are still compressed across the industry. They're high, and there's lower occupancy rates. So Jaybird is creating a team focused on ways to offset shrinking margins, including by thinking outside the box. So like raising up the maintenance fees so poor Susan French can't afford it, or like there of course will be people who'll be like, oh God, I mean, I guess like this is maybe money that they had set aside to help pay for like a grandkid's college or something like that, and they're like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to dip into that in order to live here because I can't afford to move, or this is the place that makes sense for me and my family. I just want to close with this quote from Kevin Russell because I think it's really telling, and I also think it's really scary. He says, people typically think of innovation as being about technology, but it's really not. And at the end of the day, I have a team that really embraces that. So for Kevin Russell and his team, innovation is, in my opinion, allegedly, P.S. all of this is my opinion, all of this is alleged, is elder abuse. To me, it's elder abuse. I think it's elder abuse to make these people have to leave their homes, to, get them into predatory agreements. Like that's his innovation right there. That's how he is, thinking outside the box, is like literally ruining people's lives who worked their whole lives to be able to retire, to live in some type of comfort, to live in community, to like where they live. And you are ruining that. It is terrifying. This example broke my heart. But we have to keep talking about it. We have to keep, this is how we push back on private equity. We talk about it. So there you go.